The truth behind Deion Sanders in Colorado is pretty simple, and it's this. Deion Sanders is really good for Colorado, and the value that he brings to that school, to the conference, and to college football, not even just college football, Power 5 college football, it's pretty well something that's unmatched. Before we dive into it today, please go ahead, give me a like, hit the subscribe button. Let me know what you guys are thinking down in the comments below. Do you agree with something? Do you not agree with something? So, everybody has heard the news. Deion is the head coach of Colorado, and he's making big moves on the coaching trail. But I kind of wanted to unpack all this today and talk about what is the truth behind all of this? What does this mean for Colorado? Because we understand that Colorado was a program that went 11-1. We also understand that Jackson State has had tremendous success with Deion Sanders there. And so that would be proven that Deion might be able to have at least a little bit of success at Jackson State. And then the question's also been thrown out there. With his success at Jackson State on the field and off the field, what players is he bringing to Colorado? Because he just put up an undefeated season this season. And in 2 seasons at Jackson State has went 23-2. And so Deion Sanders has attracted talent. As a lot of the time when you see offers go out to recruits, whose name has been on those offers? Blessed to receive an offer from Deion and Jackson State. But how many times has Jackson State picked? Not very much. Because ultimately, the talent goes where they're going to be able to be seen more, be in the spotlight, so that they can potentially go to the NFL and live out their dream. But we have seen guys go to Jackson State that are still there that could potentially come follow Deion Sanders to Colorado. Guys like his son, and I'm hoping I'm saying this right. I know you guys corrected me the other day. It's Shadir Sanders. He threw for 3,300 yards this year. 311 completions, 443 attempts, 70% completion percentage, 36 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He was sacked 21 times, but then he had a running back in Savion Wilkerson. Ran for over 1,100 yards. It's pretty good. The leading rusher for Oklahoma this year had 1,100 yards. The point is, he's an upgraded head coach, and Colorado knows this. You were 1-11 last season. Getting a guy that has gone 23-2 and had an undefeated season this past season, that's not something that you just look over. Now, Deion Sanders has specifically stated that Colorado's about to have their biggest recruiting weekend ever here in a couple weeks after he coaches in the Celebration Bowl and he turns to completely focus on Colorado. So, one, I give the man my props. You're finishing out your commitment at the previous school. You're not leaving them up high and dry, which has caused it to where other people are not decommitting just yet. But what does it look like on the recruiting trail? Because we saw Dylan Edwards decommit from Notre Dame, and he's going to reestablish his commitment on the 21st. He's going to be an unofficial visit to Colorado. Then you've got another guy like Tyrese Chambers. In 2 seasons at Florida, this guy was tremendous. 96 passes for 1,618 yards and 13 touchdowns at Florida International. Hey, for Deion Sanders, you help make that quarterback room a little bit tighter, create competition. They're going to get other unofficial visits from a defensive line, Blake Purchase, another official visitor, QB Ryan Studd. You also have unofficial visitor inside linebacker Logan Brantley. You've got unofficial visits from inside linebacker Victory Johnson, which, come on. Yeah, your first name's Victory. You got to be a winner. Defensive lineman Chase Brackney. Wide receiver Ashad Wisam. And guys, these are just a small chunk. There were over 200 players that reached out to Deion Sanders when he got this Colorado job. That's why Colorado hired him. That's the truth behind this hire. Because they knew that if they hired Deion Sanders, the talent would come. If you guys haven't already, please go ahead, hit that like and the subscribe button. I have to take a drink, so this is a perfect opportunity for you guys to hit that like button and the subscribe button because it helps content creators like myself out. All right. We'll get started in 3, 2, 1. So another thing about the Deion Sanders hire that maybe a lot of us are overlooking. USC and UCLA are leaving the Pac-12 in 2024 to go be a part of the Big Ten. They're losing 2 of their premier schools. So now you're left with Washington and Oregon. And I get it. They have the 2 Arizona schools. You still have Cal and Stanford. But listen, now Colorado is going to be considered one of those premier schools. Why? Because Deion Sanders brings that type of stardom and brings that kind of level to this conference. I want you guys to look at the Lincoln Riley situation with OU last year and how he recreated a roster at USC and went 11-2. What did Oklahoma go this year? 6-6. Lincoln Riley went in there, completely rebuilt and retooled a roster at USC and went to a Pac-12 championship. Now, he lost to a team in Utah who has won the conference championship now twice in the past 3 years. But the point is, he took a team that was 4-6 and elevated their level of competition. And that's what the Pac-12 is expecting Deion to do with Colorado. Elevate the level of competition. Win games. Become relevant. Because I've seen the level of talent that have reached out to Deion Sanders. I've heard it from the mouths of some of these recruits and some of these players that are in the transfer portal. If Deion Sanders says, yes, please come here, they're there. These were previous 5-star running backs. These were 4-star wide receivers, offensive linemen, cornerbacks, defensive linemen. And you can't tell me that isn't going to elevate the level that the Pac-12 is at and ultimately help them in, that's right, the media rights deal. Because ultimately, as the Pac-12 is looking to find a new media rights deal and potentially save their conference, Deion Sanders is a huge draw for that. And hey, worst comes to worst, if you're Colorado, now all of a sudden with Deion Sanders, you know that you're probably likely going to be able to get a home with either of the Power 5 conferences that are left out there at this point. You're probably going to be able to find a home with the Big 12 again. Now, I don't think it's smart to go to the ACC or the SEC too far away, but the Big 12 and the Big 10, I mean, the Big 10's a stretch. But at least you got USC and UCLA right there. It's possible now. It's possible to either save the conference or for Colorado to help a package with some of these schools to be able to make a better intriguing offer to go to some of these bigger conferences. And that's what I think we're missing here. In the day and an era where it's so easy for schools to move, for conferences to realign, for coaches to just get up and leave their jobs and move and completely change a roster and make it a winning roster, this is the result you're going to get. And have no doubt in my mind, if Colorado goes out there this year and wins 8 to 10 games, you're going to start seeing more athletic directors expecting this from their coaches. And maybe even letting go of some tenured head coaches and going after unproven head coaches or guys that are going to bring in a level of want to at your program, meaning I want to play there. I want to be a winner here. That's what you're going to start seeing. So, in conclusion, the truth behind Deion Sanders at this Colorado job is that he is going to be successful. He is going to turn around this roster. And ultimately, he is going to be able to help not only Colorado, but the Pac-12 find a future.